Let me start with something simple, honest, and uncomfortable. If you live in the United States and you pay for internet, you are almost certainly paying more than you should. Not because you chose the wrong plan. Not because you're careless. Not because you didn't shop around enough. But because the system is designed that way. Most Americans accept their internet bill as fixed. Like rent. Like taxes. Like gravity. They complain about it, but they don't question it. And that's exactly why prices keep rising. In 2025, the average American household pays more for internet than ever before, even though the cost of delivering internet keeps getting cheaper. That's not an accident. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how smart Americans are quietly lowering their internet bills, without threats, without scams, and without spending hours on the phone. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your internet bill keeps going up, the hidden pricing tricks providers use, the leverage points most people never use, and how to lock in lower bills so they don't creep back up. This is not theory. This is not hype. This is practical. And if you stay till the end, I'll also show you how people stop this problem from repeating itself every year. Now let's break the illusion. The big lie about internet prices. Most people believe this. My internet costs what it costs. That belief alone costs Americans billions every year. Here's the truth. Internet pricing in the US is not fixed. It's flexible. It's negotiable. And it's designed to reward silence. When you first sign up, you almost always get a promo rate. It sounds great. It feels like a deal. It feels locked in. But what they don't emphasize is this. That price is temporary. 6 months. 12 months. Sometimes 18. Then the real price quietly appears. And here's the trick. They don't tell you when the price changes. They don't ask for permission. They just increase it and hope you don't notice. Most people don't. Because the increase is usually small at first. $10. $15. Then another increase a few months later. This is called price creeping. And it works because humans adapt faster than they react. By the time most people notice, they're already paying way more than necessary. Why comparison shopping doesn't work alone? You might be thinking, I'll just switch providers. Sometimes that works. But here's the part no one explains properly. In many areas of the US, real competition doesn't exist. You may see multiple providers advertised. But when you check availability at your address, suddenly there's only 1 or 2 options. And those companies know it. That's why they don't fear mass cancellations. They rely on inconvenience, not loyalty. They know switching takes time. They know people are busy. They know people hate calling support. So instead of competing on price, they compete on exhaustion. This is where smart Americans play the game differently. They don't fight the system emotionally. They use leverage. The leverage most people never use. Here's a truth that surprises a lot of people. Internet companies care less about new customers than you think. What they really care about is churn. Churn means customers leaving. Why? Because keeping an existing customer is cheaper than acquiring a new one. That's why retention departments exist. And this is critical. When you call regular support, you get scripts. When you reach retention, you get flexibility. But here's where most people fail. They call angry. They threaten. They rant. That shuts doors. Smart Americans do the opposite. They call calm. They sound informed. They sound prepared. They don't say, "This is ridiculous." They say, "I'm reviewing my monthly expenses, and my internet cost has increased. I want to know what options exist to reduce my bill." That sentence does 3 things. It signals cancellation risk. It avoids confrontation. It opens negotiation. This isn't magic. It's psychology. Companies are trained to respond differently to calm, rational customers than to emotional ones. What happens when you say the right thing? When you approach it correctly, something interesting happens. Suddenly, discounts appear. Promotions reappear. And new customer pricing becomes available again. Not always immediately. Sometimes they say no at first. That's expected. Smart customers don't argue. They ask one more question. Is there a retention or loyalty department I can speak with? That's the doorway. Retention agents have tools regular support does not. And this is where many Americans save between 20% and 50% on their internet bill, often without changing plans or speed. Same service, lower price. But here's something even more important. This alone is not enough. Because even if you succeed today, the price will creep back up again. Which brings us to the real problem. The real problem is not the bill. The real problem is automatic silence. Bills renew automatically. Prices change automatically. Money leaves automatically. And humans forget. That's not a moral failure. That's reality. The system assumes perfect attention. Life doesn't allow it. This is why people feel like money just disappears. Not because they're bad with money, but because money systems run in the background. Smart Americans don't rely on memory to manage recurring bills. They rely on systems. And that's what we're building in this video. In the next part, I'll show you how to audit your internet bill properly, hidden fees most people miss, speed myths that cost people extra money, and how to downgrade without losing quality. This is where most people say, wow. Stay with me. Now let's get practical. Because once you understand that internet pricing is flexible, the next question is obvious. Where exactly is the money hiding? Most Americans look at their internet bill and see one number. But that number is usually made up of several parts. And those parts matter. So the first thing smart Americans do is audit the bill properly. Not emotionally. Not angrily. Methodically. You pull up your latest internet statement and look for three things. Base plan cost. Fees. Extras. The base plan is the advertised price. This is the part companies talk about. The fees are where things get interesting. Equipment rental fees. Network access fees. Regulatory recovery fees. Service surcharges. Some of these are legitimate. Some are inflated. Some quietly increase over time. Many people rent a modem or router without realizing it. $10 to $15 a month. Every month. 4 years. Do the math. That's hundreds of dollars for equipment you could own outright. One of the easiest ways Americans lower their bill is by buying their own modem and router. It sounds technical. It's not. Most providers list compatible devices on their website. You buy once. You return the rented equipment. The fee disappears permanently. That alone can drop your bill immediately. Now let's talk about speed. This is where companies make the most money. Most people are sold far more speed than they need. Not because they asked for it. Because faster sounds better. Here's the reality. Streaming video. Zoom calls. Browsing. Even gaming. Most households don't need extreme speeds. Many Americans pay for plans designed for businesses when they're just watching Netflix and scrolling social media. Smart customers test actual usage. They ask, how many devices do we actually use at once? What activities happen simultaneously? Do we really need this tier? Downgrading one tier often saves $20 to $40 a month with no noticeable difference in experience. That's not a downgrade. That's a correction. Now here's something most people don't realize. Internet companies rarely downgrade customers automatically. Even if usage drops. Even if the plan no longer fits. Why would they? Overpaying customers are the most profitable. So the responsibility shifts to you. Or your system. Now let's talk about timing. Timing matters more than people think. Calling support randomly can work. Calling at the right moment works better. Best times to negotiate? Right before your promo ends. Right after a price increase. Near the end of a billing cycle. Why? Because churn risk is highest then. That's when companies are most flexible. Smart Americans don't wait until frustration peaks. They act when leverage is strongest. Now let's talk about something even more powerful. Bundling. Bundles are often sold as savings. Sometimes they are. Often they're not. Internet plus cable. Internet plus phone. Internet plus free services. The problem with bundles is complexity. Complexity hides cost. Smart customers unbundle mentally. They ask, how much is internet alone? What am I actually using? What can I cancel without impact? Many Americans save money simply by removing unused bundled services. Now here's a mistake people make. They threaten to cancel without being ready. That can backfire. Instead, smart Americans prepare. They check competitor offers. They note alternative options. They don't lie, they just stay informed. When you say, I've seen comparable pricing in my area and I'm reviewing options, you sound credible. Not aggressive. Not desperate. This triggers retention logic. Now here's the part that surprises many people. You don't always need to switch to save money. Sometimes you just need to reset your status. Many providers treat long-term customers worse than new ones. That's backwards. But it's real. Resetting your plan. Reapplying promos. Even canceling and reopening under another household member can reduce costs. This isn't gaming the system. This is responding to how the system is designed. Now let's step back. You've now seen where hidden costs live, why speed tiers are inflated, how timing and leverage work. If you do this once, you'll save money. If you do this consistently, you'll stay ahead. And that's where most people fall off. They fix the bill, then forget. 6 months later, prices creep back. Not because they failed, because the system is automatic. This is why systems beat memory. Smart Americans track recurring bills. They set reminders. They use tools that surface increases automatically. They don't wait to feel broke before checking. This is where structured spending systems come in. Tools like MSS exist for this exact reason. Not to micromanage you, but to make recurring costs visible. So instead of reacting to price hikes, you see them coming. Instead of forgetting renewal dates, the system remembers. That's how people stay in control without stress. In the next part, we're going deeper. I'll show you what to say word for word on calls, and mistakes that instantly kill negotiations, how to lock in lower prices long term, and how Americans stop bills from creeping back up year after year. This is where people usually say, why didn't anyone tell me this? Stay with me. Now let's get extremely specific. Because knowledge is useful, but exact words are powerful. Most people lose negotiations before they even start because they say the wrong thing in the first 30 seconds. They vent. They complain. They threaten. And the moment that happens, the conversation shifts. The representative stops trying to help you and starts trying to manage you. Smart Americans don't do that. They treat the call like a transaction, not an argument. Here's the opening script that works far better than anything emotional. I'm reviewing my monthly expenses, and my internet bill has increased. I want to understand what options I have to lower my cost. That's it. No anger. No blame. No accusations. This sentence signals 3 things. You are cost-aware. You are flexible. You are willing to leave if needed. Now listen carefully. If the representative immediately offers a discount, you say thank you and ask one follow-up question. How long does this rate last? Because a discount that expires in 3 months is not a solution. It's a delay. If they say the price is fixed and there's nothing they can do, you don't argue. You say, I understand. Before I make a decision, is there a retention or loyalty department I can speak with? This is not a threat. It's a process request. If they transfer you, you're in the right place. Retention agents are trained differently. They have different permissions. They are measured on keeping customers. Now here's where many people mess up again. They talk too much. Smart customers let silence do the work. After repeating the same calm explanation, they pause. Silence makes representatives fill the gap, often with offers. If they offer a higher speed for the same price, You don't accept immediately. You ask, is there a lower cost option that still meets my needs? You're steering the conversation back to price. If they offer a discount tied to a contract, pause again. Contracts are not automatically bad, but they remove flexibility. Is there a non-contract version of that rate? Sometimes there is. Sometimes there isn't. The point is you're choosing consciously, not reacting. Now let's talk about a critical mistake. Never accept the first, best offer without clarity. Always confirm. A new monthly total. A fees included or excluded. A duration of the rate. A what happens after it ends. Smart Americans write it down or screenshot it. Because billing mistakes happen. And documentation gives you leverage later. Now let's move to a different angle. What if negotiation doesn't work? This happens sometimes, especially in areas with limited competition. This is where alternative leverage matters. Many Americans don't realize that canceling internet service doesn't mean losing access forever. It often means triggering a follow-up offer. When you schedule a cancellation, not an immediate one, but a future date, something interesting happens. The system flags your account as at risk. That triggers outbound retention. You may receive emails. You may receive calls. Suddenly, offers appear that didn't exist before. This isn't guaranteed, but it happens often enough that smart customers use it strategically. Again, not emotionally, structurally. Now let's talk about something most people overlook. Internet bills don't exist alone. They're part of a bigger pattern. Phone bills, streaming services, cloud storage, security subscriptions, free trials that quietly turned paid. All of these stack. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if you win every single negotiation, you will still lose money over time if you rely on memory. Because modern billing systems are designed to outlast attention. This is why people feel exhausted by money management. They're constantly reacting. Smart Americans flip this. They centralize visibility. They want one place where recurring expenses are visible and reviewable. This is where spending efficiency systems come into play. Not budgeting in the old sense. Not tracking every coffee. But monitoring what repeats. Because repeating costs are where the real money is. This is why tools like MSS are relevant. They focus on recurring spending and efficiency. They surface patterns. They make increases visible. You don't wake up one day wondering why your bill doubled. You see changes early. That's the difference between stress and control. Now let's talk about locking in progress. After you lower your internet bill, you don't celebrate and forget. You set a reminder. 3 months. 6 months. Before the promo ends. You review. You confirm. You adjust. This is not paranoia. It's maintenance. Like servicing a car. Ignore it long enough, and it becomes expensive. Now imagine this across all bills. Internet, phone, subscriptions, utilities. Suddenly, you're not fighting fires. You're running a system. This is why some people earn average incomes but feel calm. And others earn more but feel stressed. It's not income. It's structure. In the final part of this video, I'll tie everything together. I'll show you the full repeatable system. How to start without overwhelm. The one habit that prevents bills from creeping back. And the cleanest next step if you want help implementing this. Stay with me. This is where it all clicks. Let's bring everything together. Because by now, you don't just know how to lower your internet bill. You understand why most people never do. They assume prices are fixed. They avoid uncomfortable conversations. They don't track what repeats. And most importantly, they don't have a system. Smart Americans think differently. They don't chase every deal. They don't memorize dates. They don't rely on willpower. They build simple structures that work in the background. Here's the full framework you can use starting today. Step 1 is awareness. You identify what you're paying. Not what you think you're paying, what's actually hitting your account every month. Internet is almost always one of the top 3 recurring costs after rent and phone. Once you see it clearly, the illusion breaks. It's no longer just the bill. It's a number you can influence. Step 2 is leverage. You now understand that intro rates expire. A loyalty isn't rewarded automatically. A retention departments exist for a reason. A silence is a negotiation tool. A timing matters. This alone saves many Americans hundreds of dollars a year. But here's where most people stop. They win once, and then slowly lose again. Prices creep. Fees return. Promos expire quietly. And 6 months later, they're back where they started, or worse. This is why step 3 matters most. Systemization. You want a way to see recurring charges in one place. A notice increases early. A review expenses periodically without stress. A make decisions intentionally, not emotionally. This is what separates short-term wins from long-term control. That's why tools focused on spending efficiency exist. Not budgeting apps that shame you. Not complicated spreadsheets. But systems designed for modern life, where subscriptions, promos, and variable pricing are the norm. This is where MSS fits naturally. It's built around the idea that money leaks happen quietly, and that visibility is power. Instead of reacting to surprise bills, you catch patterns early. Instead of wondering where your money went, you see it. Instead of fighting every month, you review calmly. If you want to check it out, I've placed the link in the description. You don't need it to lower your internet bill today, but it can help make sure the savings actually stick. Now let me be very clear. This channel isn't about tricks. It's not about hype. It's not about get rich quick. It's about helping Americans solve real-life money problems with clarity and structure. Phone bills, internet bills, hidden subscriptions, everyday systems that quietly drain people or empower them. If this video helped you see your internet bill differently, then you're exactly who this channel is for. Here's what I recommend you do next. First, review your current internet bill. Look at the full amount. Check how long you've been on the same plan. Second, make the call. Use the calm script. Ask the right questions. Pause when needed. Third, document what you agree to. Dates, amounts, durations. Fourth, decide how you'll prevent the creep. Reminders, reviews, or a system that does it for you. That's it. No overwhelm. No perfection. Just progress. If you found this useful, hit the like button. It helps this video reach people who are overpaying and don't even realize it. Subscribe if you want more practical US money fixes that actually work. And share this with someone who complains about their internet bill but hasn't done anything about it yet. Because once you see how the system works, you stop feeling trapped by it. And that's when things change.